Great. We're gonna get started now. Perfect. All right. Okay. Interesting. We're gonna make this hybrid work. So we have people joining us on Zoom and then we have people here in person. All right, but let's do this. All right. Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing? Good. All right. Are you excited for this? Okay, looking forward to it. Okay, awesome. Please scan the QR code as you're coming in, please scan the QR code to check in. I feel like I need a gay person. It's like, make sure everybody scans the QR code. But anyway, we can do that at the end as well. I just want to make sure we're able to capture everyone that comes because I will send out information afterwards. All right. Anyway, without further ado, my name is Buki Abdul and I work at the Career Center. So today we'll be talking about this job search workshop for international students. And so I want to preface by saying that this will have a lot of information, a lot of content, a lot of information. And I'm just saying that to let you know that there's so much I want to share. There's so much I want to pour out. I'm like, this is the opportunity to let you know everything that the Career Center offers. So what I'll make sure to do is at the end of this, I'm going to send out the slides to those that have registered and check in. I will also send the recording. I think just the recording of the slides. I will send the recording to everyone that registers and that is here. So both in person and online. I'm going to send the recording because it's going to be a lot of information. I just want you all to have something to refer to after now. Does that make sense? And it's a workshop, meaning it's not a lecture. I'm not just going to be talking over you, even though I have a lot of things to share with you all. But I will be talking. I want to hear from you as well. I want you to tell me what's going on, what your experience has been, things like that. So are we ready to do that? Awesome. Okay, thank you all. So before we get started, I want you to see what our office does. Overview of our office. So again, this is the Center for Career Development and Academic Exploration. We're really available for every student, regardless of race, gender. We're also available for undergraduates, graduates, all of that, and particularly international students. Our office is in the Student Union, level 2. It's just right above Starbucks in the Student Union. And we're open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. So meaning that after all that I talk about now, one of the things I would definitely encourage you all to do is to schedule an appointment with someone in our office to talk more about all of these things. Because this is like introduction, things that you have to do, but you have to take steps afterwards. So this is why I'm giving you the information about our office. So you let us know, so you can always use that. Now, what are the things that the Career Center offers? Before I continue, how many of you, by show of hands, how many of you have been to the Career Center before? Okay, just few people. Awesome. I hope at the end of this presentation, you would take that next step to actually visit us because we have a lot of service. I want you to take note. I want you to just soak it in. Everything I'll be sharing today, just soak it all in. All right. Now, what are the services that we offer? We have the major and career exploration. So this is for those that are still, if you're trying to explore what major you want to do or what career path you want to do. So maybe an undergraduate trying to decide, what should I study for my major? We can help you with that. Or you as a person, you already have your major decided, you're already in that field, and you want to know what career to pursue. That's something we can help you with. So it's not just for undergrad or grad, it's for anyone trying to find out what career can I pursue through my education. That's something we can help you with. And then resume. So we can help you review your resume, critique your resume. After this particular workshop, you will see the need to have your resume done. And that's something we help you with as well. Your cover letter too would be very helpful. And internship, job searching, we help you through that, right? These are the things. And let me tell you all, you have already paid for this as a student. So if you don't use us, you still get paid. So I want you all to use us as much, right? I want you to utilize the Career Center as much as possible. And let me confirm that we're recording. Are we recording? Okay. I just want to be sure that we're recording, and then we'll be good. One second, everybody. Okay, awesome. Perfect. All right. Beautiful. Thanks, Malachi. So Malachi is in our office as well, and Malachi is supporting me through all of the whole Zoom technicalities. All right, thank you. Cool. All right, let's move on. Internship, mock interviews to also help you prepare for interview. That's something we do. If you're trying to go to grad school, postdoc, whatever that may look like, we also help you with that. And then job fairs, a lot of career fair, we also help you with that. And we have students that are being trained to also provide the services. How many of you have been to the career fair before? Okay, all right. We're gonna change that numbers after now. Then I wanted to provide a background of the person talking to you. So it makes sense to let you know that whatever it is you're feeling, whatever it is you're going through, I can 100% relate, right? So I was born and raised in Nigeria, so I'm from Nigeria. And talk about Nigerians. Okay, you guys are so shy to relate to me, Nigerians, okay, but that's fine, no judgment. I'm kidding. All right, so from Nigeria, I did my bachelor's degree in Nigeria as well. I studied communication for a bachelor's degree. And then after that, I decided that I want to pursue a master's in the United States because I think that would be very helpful for what I want to do in life. And so I came to the US to do my master's in 2018. I did my master's in human resources in Michigan. And then after that, I got, while I was in Michigan, I worked at the Career Center. That was how I even developed my interest in career services. I worked there and I worked with international students as well. Plus, as an international student myself, I was on our e-board, I was an e-board member to help with international student services. So I'm an international student, I work with international students, I have international students friends. My point is, I can relate, right? And I want you all to know that so you can ask me questions and we can think through all of this together. And then, and now I am a senior career coach at the Center for Career Development. So I moved from Michigan to Tennessee for this job. And I can talk about my process again as we go through. So what did I go through? All of that. I found a job in a pandemic. Yeah, that was terrible. So I'm glad you all don't have to go through that. But yes, I found my job in a pandemic and now I'm here. So meaning that it was possible for me, it's definitely possible for everyone here. All right, let's move on. To start with, the job search, I would tell you that it is a full-time job. And I really just want to let this out of the bag so you know what you're getting into. Even for a domestic student, the job search process is a full-time job. For us as international students, it is more of a full-time job because we have more, there are some limitations and things that we have that we always have to move through. So there is a lot more that we would have to do, if I'm being honest, right, than a domestic student, right? And so think about the fact that the job search process on its own is a full-time job. So before we continue, I want everyone to get out their phones. I have a QR code here. And I want you to tell me, what are some of the challenges you have faced with this job search process from your perspective? What are some of the things you faced? I want to hear from us because I want to be able to say, okay, this one, we're going to talk about that. Oh, this one, all right, maybe when you meet with us one-on-one, we'll address that. But the point is, I want to hear from you. What are some of the challenges you have faced in the workplace, or not workplace, as your search for jobs? Let's see. Awesome. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. So CPT, OPT, not getting any response. So let's see, what else? Okay. Just to see. To see the responses. Okay. Okay, so recruitment, so not getting responses from recruiter, difficulty finding jobs similar to international students. We're going to talk about that. No US work authorization. Yes. Visa sponsorship. Yes. Oh, yes. We're going to talk about that. Application process format. So the format for application process. Lack of guidance. Yes. Those are some of the challenges we have seen. Rejection. So let me tell you, after my job search, after I got my job, the word I hated the most was unfortunate. Because I got that, oh my gosh, in my job search. So I had PTSD from unfortunately. And so now as a professional, I avoid saying that to people. Like I can say sadly, something else. Just unfortunately, I don't say it because of that. So I understand that. And companies gatekeeping. Let's see, companies gatekeeping us even before we apply, saying they don't hire or sponsor. Amazing point, because a lot of employers, they don't know what it means to actually have an international student. Once they hear international student, they're just like, never, don't come near me. But at the Career Center, we're working constantly to educate our employers on what it means to hire an international student. So that's something we're addressing. Let's see. Let me go back. Getting a lot of rejection, companies gatekeeping, UT didn't know that informality was actually a deal breaker. Okay, document, okay. Okay, no opportunities for international students, security clearances, being limited to a particular physical area, not found enough jobs. Okay, so yes, all of this, these are the very valid challenges that we have as international students. And we're going to address most of them. At least we're going to address some of the things that you can do to better position you to get what you're looking for. Because if I'm being honest, it's not one day that we're able to teach an employer that international students are great, hire them. Not everybody will jump on the bandwagon immediately. Right? But there are some things that you can do to help you prepare you for that field, and also think through what are some of the other options that you can consider. So I've seen all of this. Thank you all for sharing. Now let's go back to our slides. Okay, so yeah, we have gone through the challenges. Now, what are some of the things that you can do before the job search? I want you to think about, as we go through now, as we have this conversation, as I'm sharing all of this information, keep in mind that I'm seeing it from the perspective of someone that has done the search and someone that coaches other people to do the search. But what are some of the things that you can do as a person, as an international student, to help you prepare for the job search? Because there is a lot that happens before the job search. I want to do a quick poll as well. How many of you are undergraduates? Okay. How many of you are master's students? Okay. How many of you are doctoral students? Okay, awesome. Thank you. So everything I say here, it's definitely applicable to every category. There are times when I will specifically say, oh, doctoral student or master's student, think about this more. But everything I'm saying here will apply to everybody. All right, so before the job search, what are some of the things that you want to do and think about for yourself? Develop a plan of action. Develop a plan of action. The first thing is to know yourself, whether doctoral, whether master's, whether undergraduate, know yourself. What are some of the skills that you're bringing to the table? What are your goals? And I know for you, you're like, I cannot set goals because I already have limitations. However, think about it. What are you interested in going into? What are your long-term goals? Then the other part is be realistic. And that's the part that for us, we have to do a lot of, is understanding the situation in America. Understanding that some employers don't really know about the career center, or not career center, don't really know about the value of international students. And all they go with is just information and then they just move on, right? And they just say no to international students. That is one of the realities. So it's how are we going to move through that to get to what we need to get to? Set SMART goals. Again, I said it for those that are just joining us, that the job fair itself is a full-time job. And I really want you to take it as one, because the more effort you put into the job search, the better you are at getting a result, right? So think about that. There's a lot of work I have to do, but it's going to pay off eventually, right? All right, so set SMART goals. What are some of the goals? What are some of the things I really want to do? Assess your plan of action and see what's working and what's not working. Now let's go a step further. Knowing yourself. What are some of your skills, your interests, your values, your personalities, your needs, motivations? But particularly, what are some of your skills? What skills do you have? What skills do you know how to use? Do you have some technical skills within your industry? As an engineer, as an architect, do you know how to use AutoCAD? Because these are the things that employers are looking for. And first of all, you want to do the job of identifying, what do I have? Because when you know what you have, it's going to be easier to tell an employer about it. If you don't know what you have, it makes no difference. And again, you're like, well, there are already a lot of odds against me. There is no point. Because there are odds against you, meaning there is so much more you have to do. And that includes really, really getting to know yourself, knowing your skills, knowing what you're looking for in the industry. But let me not jump ahead of myself. Knowing your skills would be a good way to start. Your interests, what are you interested in? What are your values? Now, for doctoral students, show of hands again. How many of you want to stay in academia? You want to stay in higher ed and work as a faculty professor? Wow. Wow, nobody, no judgment. I will tell your advisor tomorrow. Anyway, how many of you want to go into the industry? Okay, yes, it's 2 hands. I love it. All right, I feel you. All right, so yes. Now this is very, very, very even more important for you all, because you're thinking about, how am I going to transfer my research skill, my research knowledge? How am I going to transfer that to be very applicable in the industry? This is why you want to really identify your skill. And so think about the relationship between your training, what you're being trained to do. So maybe you're a chemistry doctoral student. What are some of the things you're being trained to do in the lab? Whether it is research, what is your research addressing? What are some of the things you're working on? These are questions you have to ask yourself, and these are answers you have to provide for yourself. Again, not just doctoral students, but I'm saying for doctoral students, it is even more effort for you all to write out, itemize those things. What are some of the things I already do? What are the functional expertise? So what can you provide an employer? Also think about your background from your home country, right? I know for a lot of people in other countries, we did not do a lot of, we didn't work as much before coming here. That's understandable. But what are some of the things you're going to do here, knowing fully well that you did not get experience back home? Does that make sense? And I know that we also have limitations with CPT, OPT, or even as an international student, you can only work 20 hours on campus. Now, through your graduate assistantship, what are some of the skills you need for the industry? Can you talk to your advisor about that? I know some advisors are very, very interesting, so I understand that. But what are some of the things you have to intentionally do to get the experience you need? I will tell you that UT, higher education, is already like a company. So meaning that if you were to work, and nobody's working here, but like if you were to work at a university, they have everything that makes a company work at a university. They have data analysts, they have researchers, they have marketing and communication people. So my point is, whatever you're trying to get outside, you can start by looking at UT. What is available here on campus that can give you the experience you need? What is available? All right, and then understand the aspect of your background that is marketable to employers. So what are some of the things you have already done that employers within your industry, employers are looking for? What are those things that employers are interested in and looking out for? Again, a lot of questions that you have to do before the actual job search starts. Am I making sense here? I'm already sounding so passionate, but I'm like, guys, I just want you to get it. I just want you to do this because I can relate. All right, I probably will say that 100 times. So permit me. Anyway, so know yourself. Now, these are questions to ask yourself. And I really, if you want to take a picture, I will send you a recording. But I want you to provide answers to these questions. Because honestly, if you cannot provide answers to these questions, you cannot really easily market yourself to an employer. Does that make sense? You cannot easily market yourself to an employer. So if you're trying to leave academia, right? The question is, why have you decided to pursue a career outside of academia at this point? Apart from the money, yeah, right? But why have you decided to pursue career outside of academia? You have to answer that question for yourself. Are you ready for a career change? Are you ready to keep your career options open? What skills and expertise have you developed through your graduate research? Again, this is for everybody. What skills have you developed through your classes? Because I promise you, there are a lot of skills that you are developing through the classroom that you don't always think about. You don't think about the fact that you're developing communication skills. Let me tell you something that you all don't already know that you have. As an international student, you're having to relate with a lot of other people from different cultures. So let's just say you're relating with a lot of Americans. And you being able to communicate with them, get your message passed across, is a valuable skill that employers are looking for. It depends on how you talk about it. Does that make sense? And so an employer needs a team member that is able to work well in a team and is able to easily communicate with their other team members. And you can tell them that knowing my background, knowing my experience, I've been able to integrate well with my American classmates. That is an experience that you can talk about. See, what I really want you all to see here is the advantage you have as an international student. The advantage you have. All right, so the other thing I want you to reframe is, instead of thinking, I have no work history, maybe truly you have no work history. What are some of the things that, again, that you have done here or that you can start doing now? Show of hands again, how many of you are graduating this May? Okay, cool, perfect. For you all, I need to come closer and talk to you. It's like, what are some of the things that you can quickly do right here on campus before you graduate? Because as a student, there are a lot of things that are easier for you to get than someone that has graduated. And so I really want to start thinking about it. And I understand that you're probably engrossed in research. It's so much. Your advisor is stressing you. You're like, oh, don't kill me. But you need the job, right? You need to start thinking about those things. Let me not spend too much time, you guys. I have a lot I want to share today. So let's run through it. All right. So these are questions you want to identify. Then also think about identifying your transferable skills. Your transferable skills are the skills you have acquired during any kind of activity in your life that are transferable and applicable to what you want to do in a particular situation. Let me give an example to make this relatable. So before I started working as a career coach, I was, like I said, I was in communications. And then in my undergrad, I helped my friends to think through their, what do we call it? Their project. So dissertation or thesis. We did that as an undergrad. And I helped my friends like review it. I just enjoyed really reviewing people's information or document. And that was nothing related to career development. However, knowing that I was going into an industry that editing and looking through materials would be very important, I was able to talk about that. I was able to talk about how something very, very different is going to be transferable to this. And that's what you really want to think about. What are some of your transferable skills and experience? Now, something to help you all, for those that are involved in research in one way or another, one of your key transferable skills from research is the ability to multitask and juggle projects. How many of you agree with that? Like through your research, you're juggling, you're doing so many things, you're teaching, you're doing so much, right? This is something employers are looking for, and you want to talk about it. Think about your project management skills as well. You're learning, you're building those skills because you're working as a graduate student and you're doing research. I think, first of all, another thing you even want to think about in terms of skills is adaptability. Moving from a different country to another country, and you're here, you're surviving. You may be struggling, right? But you're surviving, you've made it this far, right? So that is one important thing. Okay, I have a cheat sheet here to just help you think about what are some of the skills that you have gained already? What are some of the things that you have done? So let's see, interpersonal and leadership skills. How many of you have facilitated group discussions or you have conducted a meeting before? Okay, that's a skill. That's something to talk about. Does that make sense? How many of you have explained complex or difficult concepts in basic terms and language? As long as you have done something in the lab and you've written a research and you've made a poster, you have done just that. Does that make sense? Think about those things more intently than just, I was told to do this and I did this. And in fact, volunteer to do more of those things because it will help you develop the skills. All right, let's move on. I promise we're going to get to activities right now. Now, these things right here, career competencies, these are competencies that employers have said that they're looking for in a candidate, regardless of your industry or major. And again, why am I emphasizing all of these things? Because generally, you may have already learned how to use Python, how to use Adobe InDesign, how to use AutoCAD, how to use SQL, whatever the software and technology you all use in your department. You may have already learned that. But one thing you need to learn that employers are looking for would be this kind of competences that they want to see in a candidate. So employers are looking for someone that has good professionalism. And as an international student, there is more that you have to do to show that. What is your work ethic like? Do you understand the rule, the culture, the work culture? Are you able to work in a particular team and follow the code of conduct? Communication, are you able to explain thought into ideas or ideas into action and explain it? Critical thinking, are you able to solve problems through a particular getting information, teamwork, all of that? These are competencies that employers are looking for. So what I want us to do in the next 1 to 2 minutes, for those that are virtual, just answer the questions on your own. But for people here, I want you to find a partner or find someone and talk to them. What are some of the skills that you feel confident in already? And why do you feel confident in them? So what are some of the competencies that you think you already have? And what makes you think you have them? Does that make sense? Actually, does that like head nod or you can shout? Yeah, okay, all right. So talk to someone next to you real quick and based on these competencies, answer those questions for yourself. What are some of the competencies you already have? You'll have a partner? All right, in the interest of time, we're gonna do this very quick. Okay, so what did anybody come up with? Who wants to share? What is one competency you've already developed? Anybody? Yes, thank you.
In communication, most PhD students are teachers at least for the first year, so they're
Yeah, communication. As an instructor, you are building communication, you are building technology, you're building leadership, you're building professionalism, you're building a lot. But you have to see the value in that to be able to talk about it. Does that make sense? All right, cool. There was a question that came in the chat, and I want to address it. What is the difference between academic and functional expertise? Because earlier I said that when you're knowing yourself, know your expertise. What are your areas? What are some of the things you know how to do well? Academic expertise would be for a particular job to get done. What knowledge do you need to have? In terms of school knowledge, what major are they looking for? Are they looking for someone that studied physics? Are they looking for someone that did this particular class in data? That's your academic expertise. Functional expertise, what do you need to get the job done? So academic, they may look for someone that studied physics, but for the functional piece, they need someone that can calculate and work on geometry or things like that. Does that make sense? So that's the difference, and you want to have that answer for yourself. All right, let's move on real quick. Okay, so this is more for my undergraduate folks. If you're also thinking, not just for them, for everyone actually, if you're like, what else can I do with my particular major, right? What can you do with your major? Especially because as international students, we have the OPT rule to tell you that, oh, you must make sure you're working in a field that is related to what you studied. Sometimes we may be limited in what exactly we think our major is related to. There's so many other things you can do with your major that you don't know because people don't talk about it. So we have a website called What Can I Do with This Major? That literally tells you, you put your major there, it tells you what are the opportunities, what are some of the things you can do with your major. So this is not just for undergraduates, it's for everyone, excuse me. It's for everyone to check, what can I do with my major? What are the areas? That would also guide you in your job search process. Does that make sense? All right, let's move on. Okay, another thing you want to do before the job search is get experience. And I say this knowing fully well what some of the limitations are in getting experience as an international student. But I also say this knowing what the possibilities are as an international student. What are some of the things that you can do to help you build experience? Because whether we like it or not, employers are looking for people that have gained experience. This was a research done, and they asked employers, what are some of the things you look out for in a candidate? And these are some of the things that they listed. So you know that experience matters a whole lot. What are some of the things you can do on campus? How many of you are part of a student organization? Great, this is your cue to be part of one if you're not. Because those are things you can do to get involved on campus. Why? You can volunteer, it's for free. It's not affecting your OPT or CPT or status as an international student. Be part of a student organization and if possible, get on the leadership board. The most important student organization that you want to be part of is the professional associations that are in your departments, that are in your industry. They always have a student chapter. So American Chemical Society, they have a student chapter. You can join that. That is something that it is very, very valuable. So think about your industry. Just go on Google, like what are some of the professional associations in this industry? You would see them and check, do they have student chapters? Does that make sense? You want to join those things because that way you get the experience, but you're also building leadership experience. Do research. If you're not already doing research, do research because that is helpful. And gain real work experience through internships. And I understand that internships can be somewhat difficult because of so many rules and regulations, but I have something that would really, really, really help the internship process when we get to that. Part-time jobs count too for the ones that can do it. And then solve real world problems. I like doing this. Now, if you don't already know the professional association in your industry, you want to know. Why? I just mentioned you can find out their student chapter and see what's available. But other things is, what are they posting about? What are they talking about? What is the challenge in the industry? What are some of the things that they already see as a struggle? Now, you want to know that so that you can work on seeing how you can solve the problem through what you're learning in the classroom. And then that is what you would tender to an employer. Because it's employers love people that can solve problems. Imagine you come for an interview and you already identified a problem in the industry and you already have a solution. Maybe it doesn't have to be a perfect solution. It's something you got started. It's something you can share with an employer and it's very helpful in your job search. Network. We'll talk about that in a second. All right. So the other part of being realistic is there is a lot of research you have to do. You want to study the industry trend, what I just mentioned. What industry do you want to go to? What industry do you want to work at? Study the trends. Now, learn who are the major employers in this industry. If you don't already know that, this is the time to do that. Even if they're hiring international students or not, this is the time to know. If an employer, know the employers in that particular industry. Now, identify the roles for someone with your background. So as you look at those companies, look at their website, what are some of the positions that they have? Not even the ones open. What are the positions they already have people in? What's the background for that position? You want to study that. I really want to challenge you to identify at least 10 employers within the industry you want to target. 10 employers, it's a good way to start. Now, once you get the employers, now visit their website, review their mission, their vision, all of those things, their position, the positions they have posted. And then the next stage is find people. Find people. Oh, people have great information. The information you're looking for is just with someone. When you find a company that you're interested in, think about the people that are working there and people that have similar background with yours or a role that you're interested in working in. And to research all of those things, we can use LinkedIn, Interstride, professional associations. We'll talk about this guys in a second. But professional associations, I already mentioned that in your field, make sure you find one. So someone asked, how much of all that I'm saying applies to graduate students, seeing that you guys will have a lot of time on your hands? Can you all relate to that? Yeah. These are just some housekeeping rules. Please check in. Okay, I'll do that later. But if you're living in between the conversation, please make sure to check in using the QR code. If you're living in between, if you are waiting to the end, then that's perfect. We'll do it at the end. But if you're living in between, please check in. All right. So now, knowing that you don't have enough time, what you're going to do is think about what you can do with the time you have. So think about it. I said identify 10 employers you want to target. As a grad student, you may just start with 2 because that's all you have time for. While working on your research one day, just go on LinkedIn. Who is in this particular field? Note that. For you all, what would look like is you're doing small, tiny bits and pieces of things you have to do to get to your next stage. So you're not going to do the big things at once. Because of your time, you're going to work with little steps to get it to your next stage. And I hope that answers the question, but we'll also get to it. All right, let's move on. So, can someone just shout it out? What industry are you interested in working in?
Finance.
Finance, thank you. Anybody?
Nuclear.
Nuclear, yes. Anybody else? Health, yeah. Now, yes. Hospitality, yes. So For you guys, I just mentioned it and everyone else thinking about it. Do you already know, okay, at least one company that is in that industry? Anybody? Do you know a company in finance industry?
JP Morgan.
JP Morgan. Anybody else?
General Economic.
General Economics. Okay, awesome. My point is, wherever it is you're interested in working for, find the employers, find the big players and target them. Now, again, we'll see again how you can target them and how that will be very helpful for you. The next stage of your career search is, before the career search, I already mentioned the things that you want to do, want to work on. Then the other things you want to do is develop your career tools. So speaking of your resume and your CV and things like that. Now, I'm not going in depth into resume today, but that's a service that we offer. We have a guide to resume writing on our website that everyone can use. And I will, again, in my follow-up email, I'll probably include some of these things as resources too. But on our website, you can find resume guide. This is what it looks like. Now, I want to talk about the CV versus resume because I know a lot of us, we probably have CV. Some countries also use CV compared to the America that uses resume. So you want to really build your resume. Now, CV is great, but CV would be more helpful if you're applying to maybe a doctoral position or a postdoc position, things like that. But for jobs, for everybody that wants to go into the industry, what you'll be looking for is a resume, except otherwise stated. So what I would tell you all to do is, the first step is go ahead and create a resume. And again, the difference, your resume is more focused on the practical skills and the result of what you can do, as opposed to your CV that just has a long list of everything you've ever done. Your resume is an achievement list. Your resume is not a to-do list like your CV. Your CV is like a laundry list of everything you've ever done. Your resume is, what are the things I've done that will be very helpful for this company? That's what your resume is trying to do. And remember when I said the skills that you have gained, it's on your resume that you will identify those things and mention them. Your CV, you can include references, but your resume, you don't include reference on that. So that's a separate thing entirely. Anyway, not going in depth about this today, but that's something we can talk about. But I really want us to do this because what's an important job search strategy is that you have to make sure that you are tailoring your application materials to the job, to the company. And to tailor your application materials to the company, you have to see what are some of the things that they're asking for. What are some of the things that they're asking for? What are the keywords you want to include on your resume? And I want us to do the activity. Look at this job description. What are some of the keywords you think someone's resume should have based on this job description? Just shout it out. Leadership. Yes, leadership. Research, right? Research. So already you want to make sure that your resume, no matter what your resume tries to do, make sure that it is listing research. It is listing leadership. What else can you see here? Say that again. Analytical skills. So on your resume, you want to make sure you're saying something like analyze information to do this, to do that. Does that make sense? On your resume, you're saying something like conducted research about this, because that is what they're looking for. That is what they're looking for. That's very, very important because there is something called applicant tracking system that all big employers use to screen candidates before you actually get to an actual person. And so that system is going to screen your resume based on certain keywords. So that's something to think about too. All right. So some of the things I listed here: research, analytical, communication, organized, team environment. These are things you want to make sure that you're mentioning on your resume. All right, I'm going to skip through this, guys, so we can move on. big interview. So we have this resource available to help you prepare for interview and practice your interview. You can do this online, and yeah, we have in-person options as well. If you want to practice your interview one-on-one, that is always very helpful because you're going to go through a lot of that. So you want to practice that. All right, but now let's talk about the job search. All right, how many of you are you still here? Are you still here? Are you tired? Shake your body, wake up, wake up, wake up. Great, a lot of information so far. A lot of information. Awesome. Okay, so now, during the job search, what are some of the things you want to think about? The first thing to expect is, with your OPT, you have, and I'm trying to remember the exact information, but you have between, you have like 60 days before you graduate and 90 days after you graduate for that time frame to find a job, right? So for you as an international student, you want to start your job search 3 to 6 months in advance. That's when you want to start the job search. But you want to start networking 2 years, 3 years in advance. For the actual job search, you want to start networking and start doing the job search 3 to 6 months in advance. Another thing to expect is a lack of feedback from employers. Why? They just sometimes just don't respond. Other times, they don't want to respond so they can come back to you and not lose you. Other times, they just have so much. Other times, they're just not competent, so they don't do well. But brace yourself to expect the fact that there would be lack of feedback and support from some employers. Also expect frustration. Yeah. And then expect reward in time. And I say it again, job search can be very frustrating, but I tell you, the more no you get, the closer you are to a yes. So what can we do and how can we maximize resources to help us with this job search? Handshake, we're going to look at Handshake. Interstride is what I'm excited to share with you in case you all don't know about it already. Networking, we'll talk a little bit about that. Job fairs, we're going to talk about that. We have a list of employers that hire international students that will be at the job fair. I don't know if you're excited about that, but I am. So you should smile or laugh or something. Anyway, and then what are some of the tools you can utilize for the job search? Job fairs, like I mentioned, your professors or academic college, your professors will be great resource if you have a good relationship with them, right? They can tell you some positions that are available, what their other advisees have done, what other students have done, where they've gone to. And then professional organizations. I really want to emphasize the need to search for the professional association in your field. Join the association. It's easier to join as a student. They all the professional associations, they have a job board. So they have a job platform where you can go on their website and search for positions. And I know not everyone will be international student friendly, but we'll get to that in a second. Career shift, company's website, and then resources. All right, so now let's work on looking at Handshake and some of the things that I would say you all want to do. Let's see. Okay, I'm just going to talk about Handshake and not look deep into Handshake because Interstride would be more helpful for you in terms of finding employers, but Handshake will be very good for the job search and for job fairs. So the one way to get the most out of Handshake is complete your profile and add your resume to Handshake. Make sure your resume is public so everybody gets to see that. Personalize your Handshake account. Tell Handshake what it is you're looking for. Handshake will send you recommendations based on that. Handshake now has a filter that lets you know if a company accepts OPT or CPT. So you can find international employers through Handshake as well. I think I'm just talking. How many of you already know what Handshake is? Okay, great. Awesome. Now, you know it. How many of you have actually used Handshake? Okay, awesome. Now, if you haven't, definitely I'll encourage you, use it and go on there. And if you want to schedule an appointment with your career coach, you also do that through Handshake. And then the job fairs, oh yes, we need to actually go to Handshake, so I will show you how to see employers at the job fair. Let's look at that in a second. Okay, so, oh, I've missed a lot of things. Okay, great. Awesome. All right, so let's look at Handshake for a second. Handshake. So for all of the beautiful things that Handshake has to offer, one thing you can definitely do is find the job fair. So if you go to event and go to career fairs at your school, you can see the upcoming career fairs. And we have 2 career fairs next week, which I would encourage you to go to. So at the career fair, you can join the event and also see the employers that will be attending, which I would recommend you do. We'll talk about, yes. There's not really anything for what?
I think I microbiology that I have talked to so many people there.
Yeah.
Micro or the micro studies that have other opportunities that I think about.
So I think that for those, one thing to consider is using the other methods I've mentioned, the professional associations, and sometimes we do like we've done some like mini science career fairs before. And so sometimes we can do those things, but other times I would say using the professional associations and actually meeting one-on-one with your career coach would be helpful because they can give you more insight on where to check. But I agree with you. Sometimes we don't always have science heavy related people, but the interstride and other things we'll show you will be very helpful today. Does that make sense? Sorry. All right. So you can see all of the employers that will be attending right here. And you can see here by saying accept OPT or CPT. So you can filter by that. You can see will sponsor or doesn't require US work visa. You can filter by that. But at the career fair, and I think what I'll do is in my follow-up email, I will try to include this list so you can see the companies that will be there and that will be hiring international students. All right. So that's that about Handshake, but also tell Handshake what you're looking for by going to my career interest. And then tell Handshake what it is that you're interested in looking for. Handshake will send you recommendations based on that. All right, let's move on. So after Handshake, I wanted to talk about Interstride. So let's spend some time on Interstride. How many of you already know Interstride? Okay, few people. Now, Interstride is what international students have been looking for. Interstride is a platform for international students to find positions in the United States. So I'm going to show you how to explore Interstride and how to use that to your advantage. So the first thing is you log in as a UT student. If you're thinking about how do you log in, you can go to career.utk.edu and then just put, you would see Interstride here, and then you just log in. All right, so now let's look at Interstride. If you click on this place that says search jobs, Interstride has over 252,000 jobs. But the beautiful thing is you can filter based on companies that sponsor H-1B. You can also filter based on companies that sponsored the top 1,000 H-1B or companies that sponsored last year to see that, oh, these guys are still sponsoring, so I guess I can talk to them. Or companies that are CAP exempt. So CAP exempt are companies that don't have to go through the H-1B lottery system. A lot of higher education and nonprofit are CAP exempt. So you can filter by that, and then you can set for the job. And you can filter based on any skill, any keyword. Can anyone just throw a keyword for me?
Finance.
Finance, physics, okay. Let's go with another one from the side.
Academic.
Academic. Oh, okay. Another one. Biochemistry. I wanted something even more specific to see what InterStride would give us. So let's search. Okay, that's wild. So let's do biochemistry and then let's try philosophy as well. So this is some of the things that it comes up with in terms of biochemistry. And what it shows you is right here. Oh, where is it? For companies that are sponsored in 2022, you can see that. You can see the companies that are sponsored and how many petitions they give for H-1B. So that's always very, very helpful. You can, yeah, so if you're scrolling through, it will tell you that this particular company sponsored in 2022 and they had this many petitions. So I would definitely encourage you to do this. And then it also has the US Visa Insight for you to actually find employers. So remember that I said, know your industry and then find the employers. So to find employers, you can often just go here and say, I want to search based on industry. And then click on the industry. And then find the employer within that industry. So let's just say electrical. You see the industries here, and you can see the visa type that you have filtered. If you wanted to say, okay, I really want someone that is doing green card, and I want to do aerospace and defense. Let's just try that. It has some companies. So in your best interest, you're going to find people that work for those companies. And you're going to start building relationships. You're going to target those people and you're going to use them for your advantage. Does that make sense? That's the benefit of this. You can see that, you can see the companies and all of that. And if you're looking to work internationally, not in the United States, hence InterStride also helps you with that. But that's another thing. The other part that is very helpful is network. You can actually network with other people and find other people. So a very beautiful thing is you can find alumni through InterStride. So when I said find people that are currently doing what you would love to do, so you want to find an alum that maybe studied biochemistry and see, oh, where did they end up? What are they doing right now? You can go here and maybe filter by alumni, and I want to find someone in a particular country. And then you can filter by the country, and then you would see some people. And you can always message them. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Awesome. So I mentioned that this is a lot of information. All right, but this is definitely one way. And then you can also network based on topics. You can see topics that InterStride list. But another beautiful thing that InterStride does is they have a lot of webinars that is available. Fun fact, InterStride was created by a former international student. So they get it, right? Look at this. It says leveraging international top 10 mistakes by students. This is something that they are doing that is coming up February 22nd. Getting unstuck in your US job search. They have that coming up. Preparing for H-1B. So they always do a job search strategy every last Thursday of the month or something like that. And you can see a lot of webinars that they already have available that you can register for. They also have courses. So this job search, some of the things I've mentioned, you can always go back here and find more information about the job search strategy. You can learn about work authorization. You can learn about H-1B here. And then you can click on resources to see all of the things that they have. And then click on student services as well. So InterStride is really beneficial for you as a student here to help you find those opportunities. All right. So the next thing I want to show, any questions about InterStride? Okay, all right. The next thing I want to show you is using LinkedIn for your advantage. So how many of you are on LinkedIn? Okay, great. So if you don't have a LinkedIn account, I'm going to highly encourage you to create one. Here is how I want you all to use LinkedIn. You go on LinkedIn and search for University of Tennessee. When you go to University of Tennessee, Knoxville, you're going to click on alumni. And then you can find alumni based on what they studied. Whatever you studied, you can filter by that, what they do, what they're skilled at. So let's filter by what they studied. Can someone just throw me any? Computer science. So based on what they studied, we did computer science, and here is what you can see. You can already see where they're working. So that lets you know the companies that you want to start targeting, right? And even beyond that, you see where they're working, but then you could then filter and say, I want to talk to someone that actually works at Google. You can filter by that, and then you can see the actual people. Do you see that? And you can already see familiar names or familiar faces and like, oh, this may be an international student or someone with an international student's background. Let me reach out to them and ask them about the process. That's one. Now, let's say we are not interested in Google. We just want to see computer science, where these people work. And let's say we're like, oh, what is this one? This is an interesting company. Maybe I don't really know them, right? You look at the company and then you see people that are working there, right? You see people that are working there and you can always reach out to them. But most importantly, let me show you something else. So let's say we click on this person, we click on Tyler, and then you can see all that Tyler does. So in terms of the skills that you have to do, that you have to practice, you have to work on, you look at the skills and all of that. You look at the person's experience and get through all of that. So you see what this person did. But now I want to click on this company. Once I click on this company, let me show you something LinkedIn does that is very beautiful. It shows you pages people also viewed. So this gives you more companies that are related to that you want to check out. So this helps you find more companies that you want to really consider. Does that make sense? And so remember that the strategy that I've said so far is find your industry, find the employers, and find the people. The industry, the employers, find the people that are working there and start talking to them. That is something that I did not do so well as an international student when I was searching for a job, which I'm like, it is very, very, very valuable. The other strategy I mentioned is using professional associations. That was how I found my job. Professional associations. Sign up for their listserv. It's free to sign up for their job listserv. So that's one way to use that. Another way is, so maybe you're really interested in working for this company, and then you go to people. So when you go to people, you could even now see, is anyone working that studied at UT and goes here? Or if you want to find a director, you could search for that as well. So let's say we say director, okay, so director of talent and program, director of human resources, and then senior software engineer. One tip that you want to think about as you search for jobs and all of that, or find people to talk to, is don't always just reach out to recruiters. Reach out to the hiring manager. Who is the hiring manager? The hiring manager would be the last person that will make a decision on a particular position. Now, the hiring manager would most likely be the director over that particular department, or the person that this new job will be supervised by. So how do you find a direct or the hiring manager? How would you know that? If they say we're looking for a software engineer, go to their profile, see who the lead software engineer is. That's the person you want to reach out to. Because recruiters, they can help, but they ghost a lot. right? And so you want to find the people that are actually going to make the decisions and reach out to those people instead. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? I know we're getting tired. It's a lot of information, but it's better to do it now than ever. All right, so that's one way. That's using LinkedIn to find more opportunities. Another resource that is available that you can use to find people is something called Connect UT, where you can find just alumni, and you can find those people here. So if you go on Connect UT, you can log in as a student as well, and then click on directory. When you click on directory, you can filter by other things here. Let me see what the filter is. Check for this. Okay, so okay, so under here, under University of Tennessee, you can go ahead and filter by global engagement and say enrolled as an international student at a UT campus. So you can see all international alumni here. And what you will see is that you can see what they say, willing to help. So whenever they say willing to help, this means these are people that are readily available to help and help you. And so you can click on them and say, let's say we click on this person, you can request help and say, hey, I'd like to talk to you about open doors within the industry. And there's a template you can use. That makes it easy. And all you just have to do is send. Oh, no. That's not all you have to do. Edit the template. Make sure you're not just sending out the template like that. Please. I was like, oh my gosh, don't do that. Edit the template and send it out. Now, if they don't respond, there's more you can do. Connect to them on LinkedIn. If they still don't respond, see their email. You are gonna respond to me. I mean, please be very careful with the emails you're sending out as well. We have things that you can use to help you with that. But don't send someone an email and say, hey, do you have a job for me? I do, but not for you. Right? So be very careful about that as well. So this is a platform for you as a UT student to use. All right, y'all. I have to move on real quick. Let me see if there's anything from the. Okay. Awesome. Okay, nothing. Oh, what? Okay, am I being hacked because I'm sharing good information? Okay, all right, no, we're good. All right, okay. So let's continue here. All right, let's move on real quick. I have so much to share, but we don't have enough time. We're going to do it. We can do it. All right, so where to find positions? So think about your industry area as well and some of the things you want to consider. If you're in academic or higher education, these are some things to consider. If you're in research and development, some things to consider. Another way to find opportunities would be think tanks, especially for my friends in science, engineering, technology, and all of that. So these guys right here that I've listed here are examples of think tanks that you can always check out because they have positions available. So that's something to always definitely include. Think tanks. Another thing is, what are others doing? So I did not highlight this on LinkedIn, but when you go through someone's profile, someone that's studying what you study, look at their current job. What's their current job title? What are they doing? That gives you ideas. Oh, I can look for this kind of opportunity. Oh, I can search for this job. That gives you ideas. So, I mean, don't stalk people, but like stalk them. Like, just check what people are doing, right? Online. Through that, all of the platforms I showed with you. Check what they're doing and get ideas for what you can do as well, because that's very, very helpful. All right, let's move on. Now, a lot of things international students don't realize is that a lot of these jobs, before they are posted, they have been filled. The research shows us that these are the posted jobs, but there's the hidden job markets that we don't always think about. 80% of jobs are posted before they actually are filled before they actually posted. And so for you, how can you get to the point where you are not just trying to look for the positions on the website, but you're finding a better way to find those positions before it gets to the website? And I show you a more excellent way. Networking. How many of you hate networking? Yes, yes, yes. How many of you love networking? Yes, yes. I not believe that I will see people that love it, but thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, networking is not fun. I wanted to seek for some effect, so it sits with you. Anyway, networking is not always fun, but let's think about this. Whatever will help you get your job is going to be fun. You're going to have to think about it and do it. But also reframe the idea of networking, that networking is not just about networking, it's really talking to people, meeting new people and exchanging information. That is what it is. And it is always easier now that the world is virtual. You can just be a keyboard warrior and just network through your computer, network behind your desk without actually talking to someone in person. Because you find them on LinkedIn, you send them a message, what's the worst that will happen? They don't respond. Another person, you would send them a message, they would respond, and they're not saying, oh, can I see you in person? No, it's all gonna happen on Zoom. How much easier can that get? Does that make sense? So think about the fact that you don't always have to meet people in person to network. Do it on LinkedIn, virtually, and all of that. Because here is how employers find you. Here is how employers find positions. They start with internal candidates. Excuse me. They start with internal candidates. They go to friends. They go to schools for job fairs. They go to their own websites before they post it on Indeed or those large search engines. Meanwhile, you are starting from this other side. You're starting from Indeed, going to their website, going to career fair, and you never get here. So the trick is, how can you get to this first part? How can you get to a place where an employer is thinking about, I want to hire for this position, and it's you are the first person I think about, or my friend recommends you. It's by building those relationships. It's by building those relationships. So really, if you don't take anything away from here today, one thing you definitely should take away is that networking is very, very integral, especially for you as an international student. Because again, like I said, people have information. People have information. And you don't know except you ask. You don't know except you talk to someone else about it. And so when you attend career fairs, and that's one of the reasons to attend career fairs, just to build the connections, just to build those talking to people. Another thing I would say as an international student is sometimes, and I don't know if you think about it, but I've thought about it, so I'll share it, is that I think about my accent. They're like, are they gonna understand me? But what I've come to tell myself is that everybody has an accent. Mine is just different. And all you have to do is pronounce your words well and enunciate. If you do that, you're good to go. Does that make sense? So whatever may be holding you back as an international student should be the main reason you propel forward. Because you're going to be the change that they did not know that they needed. You're going to be the perspective they never knew they needed until they spoke to you. There is a lot you have to contribute as an international student to a company. And so I know that we have a lot of odds against us, but I really want us to even be confident, because employers can smell it from afar that you already feel defeated because I'm an international student. And it's frustrating when you go to someone and they're like, oh, we don't want to talk to you. Oh my gosh. Okay, sorry. I was like, don't do that. But some employers do it. However, we have, for this career fair and other career fairs, we have spoken to employers on how to address students. But expect that not everyone will see what you're seeing. And it's not their fault that they cannot see it. It's not your fault either. But what you can control, I want you to control that. You can control how you show up. You can control what you say. You can control what's on your resume. You can control how you communicate and brand yourself. You may not be able to control what the person is thinking, but what you can control, go ahead and do it. I'm starting to sound like a motivational speaker, but that's the point. Let's do it, okay? All right. So networking, you're already finding those people through these different opportunities and all of that. And you want to be very intentional about this. So that's why I've showed you the different ways that you can find this opportunity. All right, let's move on real quick. Okay, we're actually going to do this activity because I know that if you don't do it, you're not going to do it. Or maybe you do it. I can trust that you do it. What I want you all to do right now is get out a paper, a pen, whatever. And I want you to think about, okay, we're not going to go through these categories, but think about 2 people that are in the industry that you're interested in working for. You may not know them personally, but you know someone that knows them, or you've seen their name somewhere. Write down those 2 names real quick. Let's do it. Okay. So because we don't have time, truly, I'm going to trust you all to work on this. How many of you will work on this? Okay. Some people are still thinking about it. Let me say one more thing to help you think about it. I want you to use your LinkedIn profile more. I know when you go on LinkedIn, everyone's like, oh, I just did this. Oh my gosh, I hate it. But we're going to join them because that's how we're getting the jobs, y'all. That is how we're getting the jobs. That's how we're getting the opportunities. That's how you're getting the referral. So you're going to join them. Use your LinkedIn because employers find you on LinkedIn. Recruiters go on LinkedIn to find you. I will tell you that in the pandemic, when I was searching for my job, I got an email because I applied through LinkedIn once, and I got an email, LinkedIn telling me, oh, your application has been rejected. And the email came with actually my Facebook over here. The email came with, I could see what the recruiter saw from their end. And when I saw that, because I applied through LinkedIn, so it will send them my LinkedIn profile. I saw what the recruiter saw, and I was like, if I were me, I would not hire me because I was terrible. And so I sat down, I was like, no, we're going to change this narrative. And every suggestion LinkedIn gives you to do to make your profile better, do it. Get people to give you recommendations on LinkedIn. It boosts your profile. So I will tell you that I did just that. And after that, I saw a boost in people that reached out to me for opportunities. So use your LinkedIn to network. But first of all, before you start sending those contacts, fix up your LinkedIn. And we can help you with that. We have resources on our website. All right, let's move on real quick because I want to have time for questions too. So informational interviewing, it's another way of networking. When you're reaching out to people, what you're trying to do is not to get them to ask you to give you information. It's not to get them to give you a job, but it's to get them to give you information. So you're reaching out and you're asking them, is there a time I can chat with you? And you have questions you want to ask them. Questions like, oh, how are you enjoying your job? How did you find your job? Who else should I be talking to? Informational interview. That's what you want to do. It's like 30 minutes. 30 minutes. I really want you to leave here today thinking about who is that one person I want to reach out to? Who is that one person? Again, people have information, and that's the strategy nobody really talks about. We're going to talk about job fairs real quick. I mentioned that we have a list of employers that will be attending the job fair and they're hiring international students. I will include that in my follow-up email, But we'll also have the list at the career fair next week, like next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, for you to see for yourself. Now, when you're preparing for a job fair, research the company. Know the company, know the positions that they're hiring for, know what they're looking for, because you want to include that in your conversation. As you introduce yourself to an employer, say, hi, my name is this. I see that you all have done this, your values are this. That is beautiful. I'm very interested in getting to know more about you. Research the company and make it and show it off through your points. Have your elevator pitch. How many of you know what that is? Elevator pitch. Let me explain that. It's like a 30 seconds to 1 minute statement about yourself to show whoever you're talking to who you are and what you have to offer. I have a slide that will talk about that in a second. Now, let me tell you this, and please don't tell employers that I told you this. When you go to the job fair, find a company you're not really interested in. Maybe they don't even hire international students. Find them and just use them to practice. So don't tell them, right? Don't tell them, just like, hi, get your nerves out. They do not know what they did, but they helped you greatly. So find one employer and use them to get your nerves out, and then find the actual ones you're interested in. We'll give you a map at the career fair, so you will see the employers that you see their table number. And what I want you to do is go around, see the people you want to talk to, note them on your notepad. So come with a portfolio and things to take note them, and then move on and talk about and meet them. All right. Practice interviewing as well. Practice interviewing. Know yourself, know what's on your resume, know your materials, and prepare like questions that you want to ask these employers. Prepare questions you want to ask these employers. And to help you prepare for the fair, tomorrow we have a prepare for the fair event where we'll have employers review your resume. We'll have LinkedIn photo booth. We'll have a practice booth for you to practice that and all of that. And then this is your elevator pitch. Introducing yourself, give a summary of what you do, explain what you're looking for, and ask a question. All right, and then dress options and business professional or business casual will be a good one. And we'll have that tomorrow as well, where you can get free clothes if you're interested in that. Okay, another thing for your job search is keep track of all the things you're doing. InterStride actually has a platform where it can help you keep track of who you're applying to, who you're talking to, and things like that. So use InterStride for that. Now, the final thing I would say, I think, okay, few final things is as you're doing your job search as an international student, also keep your options open. If you're an undergrad, apply to a master's program for backup. If you're a master's student, apply to doctoral program for backup. For a doctoral student, apply to postdoc for backup, because it's hard out there. But we're gonna pull through, right? I'm just saying that keep your options open. That's always something to do, especially if you want to stay back in the United States. Look into other visa options as well. What are some of the things that are available to you? And this is a beautiful thing that I want you all to really consider. As you're finding companies in your industry, think about companies that are multinational in your industry, because those multinational companies can transfer you to another country. So especially if they've done the H-1B lottery system and you're not getting picked, make sure that's a conversation you can have. They can transfer you to another of their office at another location. So that's something to really look out for as well. And then check international opportunities as well. Check Canada. And don't be shy to talk to people. They have information. I promise you, people have information. People have information. Final tips for success. Job search success is a direct proportion of the effort you put into it. The more you put into it, the more you get out of it. Honestly, all I can do here is share information, give you the tips. We can meet one-on-one. We can talk about, okay, try this. Okay, have you spoken to this person? But you will still have to do the job. You will still have to apply. No one will work harder than you to find a job. And then create a strategy for yourself. So I'm graduating in May. I want to start my job search now. Every week, I'm going to find 3 new contacts I've never spoken to. I'm going to reach out to them. Every week, I'm going to reach out to 2. I'm going to apply to 2 jobs. don't get discouraged as well. And then the more no's you are, the closer you are to a yes. Okay, so I'm not going to address this because of time, but there's a way to use ChatGPT for your job search as well. We have one of the events we have, if you follow us on social media, which you should, we list events to talk about how you can use AI for your job search. So I'm just going to skip through it because of time. So we have Prepare for the Fair tomorrow to help you prepare for the fair. We have the job fairs next week. How many of you are planning to attend the job fair? Okay, yes. How many of you did I convince to attend the job fair? Yes. Okay, they're gonna pay me well. So jokes, no, it's all for you all. And then Handshake app will be very good for that. Actually, we'll have a job fair tour on the job fair day to take you around to see what a job fair is like. And all right. Questions, everybody. I know I've done the time. Questions. Are there questions? Yes.
You mentioned the job searches, everything, whatever, and using what we have already done. One thing that I think most PhD students did, even if not searching for a job, is applying for grants and fellowships. Do you think it's similar?
Yes.
Do you think that experience something that I can leverage in applying for jobs?
Yes. In fact, when you apply for those grants and fellowship and you get them, on your resume, you could say something like, awarded $5,000 for a grant, research. That shows what you've done. So that's very beautiful. Please scan the QR code to check in if you never checked in, but if you did, thank you all. But yes, that's a very good point. Thank you for that. Did I answer? Did I?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, yes.
I think it's worth talking to companies or not willing to sponsor or.
Yes, that's a good question. So let me say that again. He said, do you think it's worth talking to companies who are not willing to sponsor and all of that? I would say yes. Because, and that's the other thing I wanted to say. Don't go to a company and introduce yourself and say, hi, I'm an international student. Do you want to hire me? No, start with what you can offer. Don't start, I mean, of course, your identity is all obvious on your face, yes, but start with what you can offer. And so talk to those companies. I will actually say this. I know we're recording, but I can say it. My office, they have never sponsored H-1B visa before me. I'm the first person in my office that they're sponsoring it for. Does that make sense? I should have even shared the story earlier. Yeah, I forgot. But yes, I'm on H-1B visa. And my company, my department sponsored it. They've never done it. If I was like, I don't know, they've never done it, so let me not talk to them. I may not be here today. They've never, so this is the first time. So show companies what you can offer and make them change their mind. That's your goal. Show them that you're gonna be at loss if you don't hire me and make them, because actually companies have advantage of international students. Now with H-1B, you're going to be in the same place for 3 years. So they're not gonna have turnover for 3 years. Does that make sense? Okay, my battery is low, which is crazy, but questions? Yes.
So you spoke about other visa options.
Yes.
So in terms of like maybe regardless of the degree or but maybe like maybe master or PhD student. So in case you have like the renowned research thing going on for you.
Yes.
And, it's kind of like extraordinary.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yes.
Do you think like it's advisable to pursue other kinds of visa that really talks about extraordinary things and stuff like that?
Yes, so if you're talking about NIW and all of those other things, definitely, I would say, please pursue it, don't wait. So someone asked the question, if you have extraordinary abilities and things that you've done that can help you check for other visa options, should you? Yes, absolutely. And I think that, again, once you have information, the best time to start is now. Why wait, right? Some companies go from H-1B to green card. Some companies go straight to green card. Some companies don't, they only do OPT and STEM OPT. Some companies, they only do OPT until they talk to you and realize that, oh, you're valuable and they want you to stay back. And then they do STEM OPT. But yes, does that answer your question? Yes, like start, like if we have opportunities to those things, then yeah. So would you briefly, someone said, would you briefly talk about, I'm sorry, we're out of time. I apologize, but I'm so African. So it's like, we can always delay. Anyway, would you briefly talk about US work authorization clause? I would tell you for a fact that that thing is one of the things that irks me in the job search system, but I understand. So now a company would say, do you now or in the future require work authorization or sponsorship? If you are on OPT, just OPT, and you don't have STEM OPT, you would need one for sure, right? So you can say yes. If you have STEM OPT, you're not going to need one immediately. And so it's left to you to decide what you want to put there. We're not going to need one immediately because you still have 3 years to work for them without any need for anything. So be the judge of that. And then what's the other part of it? Do you have work authorization? Yes, you have work authorization because as an international student, you have OPT to work. So yes, you have work authorization. The next question that follows is, do you now or in the future require sponsorship? And that depends on you. I'm going to say this thing and do with that information what you choose. A lot of companies, because of that applicant tracking system, once they have, do you now or in the future require work authorization and things like that, based on the answer you select, they may not even see your resume at all, based on the answer you select. So my advice is always try to make sure you're getting in front of the person so you can bypass the system. Does that make sense? Because if you say yes or no, whatever the case may be, it may not get to an actual person. But if you, on the other hand, as you apply to a job, you went straight to talk to someone else and introduce yourself, they know you and they can say, oh, please, HR manager, I need this person's resume. Send them my way. You've bypassed the system. Does that make sense? So that's something you can think about. Any other questions on the chat? Awesome. Please, if you didn't check in. If you have questions at all, please reach out to me. My email address is what I have here, BAB, and Malachi can just help me put in the chat. BABDUL@utk.edu. If you have any questions whatsoever, I'll be happy to answer or direct you to your career coach, because I'm not everybody's career coach. However, for International Center, I have a soft spot. So send your message and I will forward you to whoever you need to talk to. There's a lot that you all can do after now. Again, I will send you the recording with all of this. There was something else I was going to say. Let me actually, I know we're out of time, but one question for you all. What is one takeaway for you? What is one thing you're actually going to do with this information? Into stride. Yes, yes.
There's light at the end of the tunnel.
Do what?
There is light at the end of the tunnel.
There's light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you. That's the whole point of this sermon. But yes, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Yes.
Channel your skills.
Yes, channel your skills to what your industry is actually looking for. Build your network early. Yes, I saw a hand here. Or did I imagine it? Okay, yeah.
Tailor my resume based on the jobs.
Yes, tailor your resume based on the job description. That is very, very, very important. Yes.
I think summary for me is to identify my industry, find the companies, find the
Summary. Jobs like. Okay, I'm gonna drop it. Okay. But yes, identify the industry, find the companies, and find the people. And I've showed you tons of ways to do that. Tons of ways to do that. Put the work in the job search. Yes, connect UT. Amazing. All right. Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much. I'm really, really glad that you all made it here today. For my online folks, thank you all. So good to see you. And can everyone just put in the chat, thank you, Malachi. Malachi was very, very helpful here. For those here, but yeah. Malachi, thank you so much. But again, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to help. And see you at the Prepare for the Fed tomorrow.